Okay, live. Can we be seen in both? Audio good? Someone give us a thumbs up if you can hear us.
Why do you seem closer?
Why do I seem closer? Oh, who knows? Can you tell us this is our first live together? Okay, so I am Megan, and I am the blogger over at allергyawesomeness.com. And I do all things food allergy wise, especially recipes. That's my specialty and forte. And this is my husband.
Hello, my name is Claudia. I work at a residential treatment center.
And that's part of the reason why I wanted him on this one specifically, because not only has he obviously co-parented with us, but with me in raising our kids with the whole food allergy lifestyle, and my memory, mom brain, right, can be faulty sometimes. But he also kind of has this specialty and experience with like mental health and what would you say? Psychology and working with teens and troubled people. So he's definitely been beneficial to our family as well. So we're gonna go ahead and start with, we said it'd be a live Q&A where you could ask all things food allergy related. Our oldest also has EOE, so you can ask those as well. Although I am just going to toss this out there, because EOE is such a subset of food allergies, we are going to probably do a special Q&A on that as well, because it's a beast all in and of itself. So we're going to go ahead and start. I went ahead and asked for questions over the weekend and got some really good questions we've been chewing over. So we'll start with those, but if you have follow-up questions or you feel like maybe that wasn't your question, feel free to submit it to us. We'll try and go no more than half an hour so we can get back to our regular duties. So we'll try and get to as many as we can. I guess we'll start too, for those who aren't familiar with our story. We have 3 kids, and our oldest has tons of food allergies, over 30, and there's, I think, 10 anaphylactic ones, and then he has additional ones due to EOE. So we avoid so many food allergies in our house. And then our second is allergic to peanuts and tree nuts. And our baby, we are still carefully giving some to her, testing her, seeing what's going on with her. So we did actually give her peanuts. If you follow my Instagram stories, that's my favorite place to share with the happenings of what's going on. And she's had peanuts twice. It was super scary, but she's done well. She's been fine, no reaction. So knock on wood, maybe 3rd kid is the charm, and we will have one without food allergies. We won't know what to do. Okay, so food allergy questions as far as lifestyle, right? Because it affects more than just recipes. Sorry, I'm leaning forward so I can see our questions. Trying to figure out our setup here. So the first one is from Grumpy Geese. Nice handle there. She says, what allergies has your son grown out of, and what were his blood levels? My sons are very high and I need hope. Let's do a disclaimer really quick.
What's that?
Do you want to do the disclaimer?
What's the disclaimer?
Basically, we are not medical professionals.
Yeah. We're just based off of our experience. We don't know everything.
Yeah. So do not take our word as gold. Always double check it with your allergist and your specialist. Even if we say our allergist said, I believe we are up to date and doing what's best, but maybe our allergist is old news. So you need to check with your allergist, make sure that even if it's something our doctor said, that your doctor agrees with. So just want to put that disclaimer. I might even do it in the middle too, just to make sure people know. Okay, so what food allergies has our son outgrown? Up to date, he has not outgrown any of his anaphylactic ones. No. Which is a huge bummer, right? Because those are the ones you want them to grow out of, because those are the terrifying ones you have to worry about cross-contamination with, EpiPens, ER visits, all of that jazz. He has outgrown a lot of his EOE food triggers. So how we've done that is we always prick test him to see if it's anaphylactic, and if he passes that, we do patch testing. And if he passes that, then we let him try it orally for several weeks. And he has failed a lot of foods, either prick or patch testing that we took out of his diet. And about once a year we go in and we retest him. And if his testing looks good, then we let him try it. And there's been a decent number. I'm trying to remember all of them. Banana was a big one because it's a good egg replacer and for smoothies and just fruit.
Was it turkey or chicken?
Both turkey and pork. He's outgrown. Yeah. He's outgrown. We've also been able to add in a few grains, buckwheat, millet, sunflower, peas, zucchini. Yeah. So there's been a handful that he's outgrown, and every one we consider a huge blessing because, it's just when you're down to such limited foods, it's so nice to get a new one. It's like a big celebration in our house. So with EOE, I think it's totally worth retesting, rechecking to see if they outgrow. Yes, we actually had to do an oral challenge in the hospital. So that's different. I say oral challenge meaning we're given the green light because we know it's not anaphylactic to try the food at home and feed it to him and just see if he has any symptoms with his EOE. But then there's the you get the borderline blood test and prick test back and you're like, is it not? And so then they send you to a hospital. Our allergist was there, a nurse is in the room 24/7. I think they did an IV just in case something happens. They could administer meds, and they slowly dose you up. So he did just an ounce. He was a little over 1 at the time, up to an 8-ounce bottle, I think.
Yeah.
And they keep you for quite a few hours to make sure there's no delayed reaction.
And that was for soy. We did soy milk.
Oh, it's soy. That's true. Oh gosh, we've been on this allergy journey for 5 years now, so that's why I have him here to remind me of everything we've done. Okay, so Grumpy Geese, hopefully that answers your question. With the blood work, I want to say I've been told that blood work really does not signify much, meaning that someone can have really low numbers and still be anaphylactic, or it can be really high numbers and mild reactions. So you can't always go by the numbers. I know if you're like us, you get them tested every few years and you kind of use the numbers as a marker, but I've heard to often take that with a grain of salt. So sounds like you're nervous. You said, I need some hope because his numbers are high, but just realize that isn't always a key predictor and it could change next year. So keep up the hope. Don't let those numbers scare you into being too nervous.
Yeah. And the big thing for us was trying to get rid of every allergen to where we felt like his body could get strong enough, because sometimes those allergens tap your body out and it makes it weaker. So by knowing what the anaphylactic allergens were and then knowing what the low to moderate to high allergens were, we took those out. We took some steps like probiotic, because we believe that gut health was something that kind of affected his allergens. And so, putting him on a probiotic, taking out those things that he's reacting to, and then retesting to see if his body's gotten stronger.
Yeah, and that's a good point as far as natural things we've done as well. And I think there's also the misnomer that you can do everything right and your kid can have the gold standard of health and still have food allergies. That's why it's not healed or solved. So don't think that if you do these things or if they get stronger that they can outgrow them. There's very healthy people who have them as well. That's just us guessing and trying to correlate maybe things that have helped. But who's to say? Maybe it was a false positive in the first place, and then we retest. That's why it's worth it to retest, because allergy testing is so unstable. That's why we always do to know about anaphylactic blood and prick test, which is the back test, to confirm that it's both. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on.
Let's try someone was.
Okay. How do you handle eating out with cross-contamination? And we are a fellow EOE family. Yay, Leslie! We love you. We understand your pain. And that's good, because that was asked another time too, with eating out. Okay, eating out is tricky and it's scary, and I can appreciate that question. I started out by asking other allergy moms who've been in the game longer. So they had a 10-year-old or 12-year-old. Where do you take your kids? Just because I wanted that word of mouth. Oh, we've gone there. We felt safe. I know there's several websites out there you can go. Mm-hmm. I'm involved in a lot of online communities, so I'll ask around on those as well. I have a private Facebook group that's been really helpful. People like to ask questions like that. Allergy Awesomeness Info Sharing Group. It's private. Ask to join. I'll add you. So we start with that, And then just a few tips that we've learned along the way. Do you want to share any you think of? I know.
Well, I think advocating is definitely important as far as going to those restaurants that you're interested in and asking them how they handle food, and are they do they make accommodations for food allergies? And so, like a couple of the places that we like to go to, I can think of where they'll do things like they'll change their gloves, or they'll clean the grill that they're cooking on, or they'll swap out the cutting board. And so those are things that helped, is finding out who will do that and who will not do that. Things like, do they fry everything in the same oil? You know, like our son has a wheat allergy, so that's a concern. Like, do they do
anything breaded?
Yeah, do they do all their chicken and their fries and everything in the same oil, so that if it's something that's not breaded, that it still has the wheat floating around in it.
The restaurant term that you want to use, so you seem like you're in the know, is do you have a dedicated fryer for your fries? Because, right, like fries are pretty allergy friendly. They're just potatoes usually. But like he said, if it's in a fryer that fries everything, then we don't let him get it. So ask for a dedicated fryer.
Yeah.
The other tips that I've heard is go at not busy peak hours, because you're just asking for someone to be too busy and not be paying attention. The other thing is, if it sometimes is worth just ordering through the manager. No offense to waiters and waitresses, but that way they know you're serious, and it's not just like, oh, I just don't like tomatoes. It's like, no, this is a big deal to us. It's very important. And then even if I know that they're known to like change their gloves and everything, I still remind them like, okay, we have a serious food allergy, so I'm gonna need you to change your gloves. I'm gonna need you to put aluminum foil down on the grill so it's not touching anything it previously touched. And just walk them through it. And just, I think the best thing is to have like a nice, happy attitude. Like, I get this is gonna be an extra step for you, and why I'm asking is because it's life-threatening. So can we go over a few things? And I think if you approach it that way, instead of like, you better change your gloves, don't kill my child, then they're a lot willing. And I've also heard like tip well, like pay it forward to the next allergy family, because if you're nice to them, it won't leave a bad taste in their mouth for future allergy people. I don't know, do you want like specific restaurants that we go to, or do you just want like general practice tips?
Yeah. And you want to ask for a manager, not just because of the position, but because of the training. A lot of the cashiers that you're coming across,
waitresses come and go.
They don't necessarily have the training, and they don't necessarily know what goes on in the kitchen and the practices that the kitchen staff do and all that. So it's nice to have a manager, and they usually are up to date. Like, this is how we handle things. This is how the kitchen staff handles things. I can make sure to go communicate to them this directly. It just helps having to surpass
extra middlemen.
Yeah, the middleman.
Yeah. And then don't go to a restaurant without your EpiPens. Worst case scenario, be prepared. We honestly don't eat out a lot, mostly for cost and just because there is always that constant risk. So we eat out, I don't know, maybe for birthdays and when my parents come into town a few times. I'm talking probably like
on average
six to 8 times.
Yeah, probably once a month.
No, I'd say like every 6 to 8 weeks probably. But we have the same places we go, unless we hear of someone that's like, oh, I went somewhere and it was really good. So kind of sick of Chick-fil-A. Love it, but we go there a lot. But they're safe and they have good protocols. And the reason I went there is because my sister worked there, and she was like, wow, did you know that they have dedicated fryer, they change their gloves, we have protocols in place. So that is kind of what got us started with the whole Chick-fil-A route. Love you, Chick-fil-A. I think there was a follow-up question to that.
Yeah, it's just thanks.
Oh, would love a restaurant list up on your blog. I know, I just get nervous I'm going to give my stamp of approval and then someone will say something bad has happened. But I'll say it here because it's live. Yeah. So we do Chick-fil-A a lot. Costa Vida, I think it's more of a West Coast thing.
Yeah.
But I like it because they make it in front of you. It's kind of like a Subway. Yeah, well, I've had mixed things at Rubio's. Yeah. Also West Coast. But we like it because you find we kind of stick with like Hispanic food because we can do corn tortillas, he can do beans, he can do rice. And I like it because they make it in front of you. Because I'll be like, nope, I'm sorry, we can't have that tortilla now. You touch it with this, or I'm seeing that they change their gloves. We also do Dickie's barbecue. They sometimes give me a stink about changing the cutting board, but because they shred their meat and their type of sausage has cheese in it. So I'm like, nope, I need a dedicated. But again, I can watch it down the line, and he can just get their shredded pork and their chips and their lemonade. Yeah. Red Robin is fabulous. We love Red Robin. It's really good. They have an allergy-specific menu. What I've been wanting to try, because just him and I went out to eat, and that's sometimes nice, is we'll go out to eat, and I'll be looking it over to see. I know Cubby's is good. I like Cubby's beef, Chicago beef. Again, sorry, we're in Utah. They might be more West Coast restaurants. Where did we eat out when we went to Boston? Oh, we did Chipotle. Chipotle's good with restaurants. We ate there several times.
Yeah, what was the place we went to Boston?
Maggiano's?
No, the 2 floors.
Well, we did go to Maggiano's. They were good. We
took the kids to it was 2 floors.
That was Chipotle.
Oh, Chipotle.
Anyway, so hopefully that's helpful. That gives you a few to go off of.
And keep in mind, even though they might be chains, they sometimes are different. So again, talk to the manager. Because sometimes we've experienced where there's some type of confusion. Like, oh, well, our store does it this way versus that store doesn't.
And never assume.
Oh yeah, so
go and
always
asking the same questions
every time, even if it's the same store, because who knows, they might change
a
recipe, or they might add some food stock that has wheat in it for some reason, and at one time they weren't using it. So even if it's a chain, even if it's at the same store, go
assume.
through the same process. Like, hey, this is what our concerns are. Can you do this? That is this. What's in this? What's in that? Because that was a frustrating experience to go to the same place and be like, well, we were just here last week and you said you didn't have this ingredient. Now you're saying you do have this ingredient.
So we left. Like, it wasn't worth us to not be sure, you know? Which stinks when you're hungry and you're like I remember I was really down that night because we'd gotten our son's hopes up. Like I said, we don't eat out often. And he was like, I get to have my tacos. And then we had to think of another restaurant. And it took us the whole reason I sent my husband out is because I had one of those times where I was like, I'm not cooking, which doesn't happen very often because I know that's like a burden food allergy moms just have to bear. And it took him 2 hours because he went there, found out they couldn't do it, had to go clear across town. And I was like, I could have just made something. We should have just done sandwiches. So what do? That happens sometimes. And then there's a second part to that question. Did you already cover blood levels? Yes, sorry. Grumpy Geese. You were the first one we answered. So go back, watch the live. Sorry, I don't want to repeat for everyone else. There's a second part to this question. How do you handle eating out at family members and friends? Okay, first of all, I feel like we don't get invited a lot to friends because they're nervous. And I don't blame them. I think that's just part of when they hear so, you get so what do you eat, And that's okay. I don't expect people to have to figure that out for us. I feel like the people who have invited us, our friend, he's a chef. He went to culinary school, so he gets how to avoid things, and he thinks it's a fun challenge. And then our family members, I have kind of strong opinions about this, and I get that not everyone is as lucky as we are, but I have a small family, and I'm known to be the opinionated one. My parents are on. Hi. And so I'm kind of bossy, and it works out well in the sense of they are just very willing. I'm just ringing. Are we still live? Yeah. Okay. And so they just let me plan the menu, and unless they see something oh, would this work or would that work? But I just know Christmas dinners, Thanksgiving dinners, all of that stuff is for me to plan, and then I will divvy up the recipes
And hold on, and they let her plan the menu, and she has a reputation for being a good cook, so they know the food is going to be good.
Yeah.
And so that's something that they've been willing to surrender, and that has helped. And so...
Thank you.
And Megan has been very good at sending everyone, especially within our inner circle that we probably spend time with and have dinners with, a list of what our son's allergies are. And there's been people who've been very more than willing to try to make accommodations or to even make a recipe that Megan has on her blog. So we have been very fortunate to have people like that. And then there's probably been people who've been hesitant, you know, to have us over or whatever.
Okay.
But
that's okay.
we find other ways to spend time with them.
Yeah. And if we don't feel comfortable, we will pack his own, or so he can have. He's not airborne. He's not where, if he touches it, he has a reaction, and we'll just pack our own if like it's something we really want to do. Otherwise, we find something else to do with them. But I feel very fortunate that everyone around us gets it, and I think it's A, because I'm willing to talk about it and be vulnerable and share how it affects us. And then B, they're very kind people, and they understand, and they care about him, and they want him to feel included. But yeah, so I'll divvy out the recipes in plenty of time, and I try, if there's a recipe that's gonna have a lot of specialty ingredients, I don't make them do those. I'll do them. So like the desserts usually, because it's gonna be gluten-free flours and egg replacers. So I'll have my sister do like the Jell-O salad, which she's already gonna have those ingredients, and I'll have her do the green salad and things that are easier, and I'll give her the recipes ahead of time. We'll discuss, do you feel comfortable with that? And then I give them like a 101 refresher on cross-contamination, and they get it. You can't use the same spoon that you use this for or that for, and we need clean plates, we need clean da-da-da-da-da. And we've cooked and eaten with them enough. They're all very careful. I think I feel very safe. But I think that's the thing, is assessing your safety. Like, even if you give someone a recipe, are they gonna, I'm just gonna throw croutons in this salad anyways. And sadly, there's just different levels of understanding. There's a bell curve, right? And you're gonna have, especially I've noticed with the older generation, like I wouldn't trust my grandparents to cook for my son. They want to get it, but they don't get it because they didn't grow up with it. And you know what? To me, it's worth hurting a family member's feelings. Like, I don't feel comfortable with him eating this, than risking a reaction. And I think that's where you just have to like be boundaried and have those things in place where this is what I feel comfortable with, and helping them understand and showing love afterwards. It's not about you. It's just about being extra careful. And hopefully, I think over time, I think people are so careful around us because they know what we expect. We don't really flex that boundary. And so they know what to expect, and they realize we still love them afterwards, we still hang out with them afterwards, and so on and so forth. And that just reminded me, we'll take one more question after this because time is flying. I'm sorry. We should make this a habit. Comment below if you want us to do this more often, because right, food allergies affect every facet of life, and there's so much we could talk about. But I'm a little bit of a worrywart, been working on it. But I would like to all of our family members and to close friends, where I was like, if we ever die or we're in the hospital or something happens, here are like 10 recipes that will work for our kids. Here is what they can have for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and the safe snacks, safe treats. And here's a list of all their food allergies. And my dad will like actually print it off and like put it in his wallet or whatever, because heaven forbid something was to happen to us and incapacitate us. And I don't want people being like, I know they have food allergies, but I don't know what to do about it. Like I have an envelope in my diaper bag that says like important information. So if something were to happen, they could find that envelope. I have one taped to our fridge. All of the, you just try and spread the knowledge, right? Like the more people understand, I think the better chance you have, whether it's eating at their house or activities or trusting them to babysit for you, things like that. So did you see a question maybe you felt like would be a good one to end on?
Becca Simpson, what age did your kids get diagnosed, and what ages are they now?
Time out. Sorry. I'm going to say this really quick. I don't share my kids' ages or names just because, again, the worrywart thing. I know a lot of bloggers feel free. I share their pictures and stuff, but I feel like they didn't ask to be talked about or have their medical history talked about, and they're still young enough, so I'd like to keep some semblance of privacy. So I'm going to give like ballparks.
We can say what age they got diagnosed at.
But not they're young. We
have one in elementary school and two that are at home.
Yeah.
So, our oldest was diagnosed, what was that, a year and a half?
Well,
or I guess.
So should I explain? Okay. So I was exclusively breastfeeding him, and around 2 months he started getting horrible rashes. And I can go more into the story later. So my pediatrician put me on a, what's it called? Elimination diet. Yeah. And then we figured out, like, it was like soy, eggs, and wheat, it's way more than that now. But I took those out, and then the first time I gave him dairy yogurt, which was at 11 months, he had full-blown anaphylaxis. And that's when we realized, it's not just an immature immune system or something he'll grow out of.
And so, to answer your question about almost died twice. Yeah, at 11 months, we took him to the ER. Full blown
eyes rolling back in his head,
eyes going back,
swollen,
turning colors.
vomiting. It was terrifying. And we didn't have an EpiPen at the time. We knew nothing about food allergies. I waited too long, and I drove him. I didn't call an ambulance. And I remember, like, clapping and, like, screaming to keep him awake because he was, like, back there and I grabbed him. It's just traumatic to talk about. And just ran into the emergency room. He wasn't even with me, and I was like, help me! You know, like, I didn't understand what was going on. Yeah. And then from there, and
then I had to walk into the ER and see my son not look like my son.
Yeah,
that wasn't fun.
It was lots of fun.
And I was very irritated with the nursing staff.
I think you were
I was scared and
traumatized.
I didn't think things were going fast enough. And that's an experience itself that I'm sure...
We can talk about ER visits.
Yeah, ER visits.
He's had anaphylaxis 3 times, and we've had some bad things happen.
It's not the best. But, so yeah, and then we had an experience a couple weeks ago where we don't know. Like, he must have touched something.
Yeah, we still can't figure it out.
It was a lot better experience.
But because I've written a letter to that ER.
Yeah.
They know me.
And so it was a better experience. But yeah, we've had, within the first couple of years of his life, we had 3 or 4
And there's been times where
ER
we've
visits.
Taken him, and then he didn't actually need, like, he was fine. They just monitored him. So I was trying to count that up because I knew someone would ask. I think because there's one time I took him, and there's one time you took him where he didn't need anything, and then there's been 3 anaphylactic. But just to make sure we answer your question, and then he was diagnosed with EOE at 14 months. Yeah. So, and then our second child, he was 6 months old. We're getting our taxes done. Crawled around, found a peanut on the floor. We were already not sure when to introduce peanuts or if we should. Yeah. And he got this like huge hive on his face, and we were like,
just found a random peanut.
Yeah, thank you, tax person, for eating trail mix. Yeah. So that's when we knew, okay, he's gonna have issues too. Took him in, got him tested, tree nuts as well. Yeah. So I'm sorry, guys. These are really good questions. And there was some even from the weekend that I haven't gotten a chance to do. So direct message me or comment below what times work for you guys, and we'll try and set up some more times. Maybe make this regular or every once in a while, because I don't know. I like hearing how other people handle it. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way, but it's helped me realize, like, take little pieces of other people. Like, I like what she does, or I like what she does. And just the camaraderie. Like, you're not alone. There are other parents out there grappling with this. So.
And Allergy Awesomeness is her Instagram.
Or allergy _
awesomeness.
So you can follow me there. And then my Facebook page is Allergy Awesomeness as well. So. Okay. Yay. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Appreciate the thumbs up. And we will talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. Now let's see if I can figure out how to close this. Ah! There's the finish button. Oh, there it is. Bye, guys.